Imperial Russia continues to make its presence felt. The world held its breath once again when news broke that Russia had rejected U.S. President Trump's peace plan, putting the planned meeting in Budapest between the U.S. president and the Russian dictator and criminal in doubt. The thing is, China is an important player here. China, whose foreign minister has clearly stated that China is not interested in Russia losing this war. This means that China actually is interested in Russia winning this war. The Russians have announced that they do not intend to freeze their offensive on the Ukrainian front. At the same time, Moscow is continuing its cyber offensive against NATO countries, including Poland. This is an old and proven Moscow strategy. First, cyber warfare, targeting state institutions, and then war in the traditional sense of the word. This was the case in Ukraine, for example, when the military invasion in 2022 was preceded by cyber attacks, targeting critical infrastructure and command centers. Russia had a whole strategy worked out, including a political party that was in the Verkhovna Rada, the Ukrainian parliament, and it used all these classic elements, but not only classic ones, because it was also a hybrid war. Russia has been using the same strategy for years. It tries to play off and divide neighboring countries in order to weaken them and consequently push them into Moscow's hands. Ukraine was not the first. Estonia was the first in 2007. Some of the methods tested on the Estonians at that time were the famous riots related to the relocation of a monument to Soviet soldiers. Russia has also been waging a hybrid war against us for years. In 2021, the so-called sluice operation began, involving thousands of illegal migrants attacking our border in order to destabilize Poland. In addition, since the outbreak of full-scale war in Ukraine, Russian missiles and drones have been violating Polish airspace on a regular basis, culminating in a night raid on September 10th. In this way, Moscow is testing how far it can go. This was a clear statement from the Russian side that they are moving on to the next aggressive action against NATO. We are also constantly experiencing acts of sabotage. Mysterious fires are breaking out in Poland, affecting critical infrastructure, such as the subway and electrical substations. In Poland, we are not only facing a hybrid war, because a hybrid war does not include acts of sabotage. And in our country, we are dealing with violence, acts of sabotage, destruction of industrial plants, and fires. Anyone who knows history and draws conclusions from Russia's actions can see that Moscow is preparing for the next stage of the war. Meanwhile, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius argues that it would be better if NATO did not respond to Russian actions. Germany will, in a sense, regulate this escalation ladder in such a way that we will simply have no idea what will fall on our heads, and we will not be able to react in any way. Given this attitude of our European allies, Poland must focus even more on cooperation with the United States. Russia fears only strength, and the current geopolitical situation may determine the world order for decades to come.